In a major White House briefing on December 1, 2025, Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt addressed questions regarding the controversial strikes on a Venezuelan vessel allegedly carrying illegal narcotics. Leavitt confirmed that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth had authorized Admiral Frank Mitch Bradley to conduct the strikes, and emphasized that the admiral acted fully within his legal authority. The first strike had left survivors, prompting a second engagement, which was also legally justified under the law of armed conflict and conducted in international waters. Leavitt reassured the public that the mission aimed to protect American lives and eliminate the threat posed by narco-terrorists targeting the United States. In a strong public endorsement, Defense Secretary Hegseth took to social media, calling Admiral Bradley an American hero and stating his unwavering support for the combat decisions made on the September 2nd mission and all subsequent operations. Hegseth highlighted that the U.S. military has carried out at least 19 strikes against suspected drug vessels in the Caribbean and Pacific regions since September, resulting in significant casualties. Leavitt also noted the administration's transparency, detailing bipartisan congressional briefings and access to classified legal opinions regarding the strikes. While critics continue to question the legality and ethics of these operations, the White House maintains that all actions were within U.S. and international law, carried out to safeguard American citizens from illegal narcotics and narco-terrorist threats. As debates over the strikes continue, the administration underscores its commitment to protecting U.S. interests while ensuring that military operations remain lawful and strategically justified. The controversy surrounding these strikes has sparked discussions among lawmakers and human rights advocates, but the White House has made it clear that Admiral Bradley's actions had full legal backing and were necessary to neutralize imminent threats. This unfolding situation highlights the complex balance between national security, international law, and military engagement as the United States continues to confront the growing threat of narco-terrorism in the Western Hemisphere.
President Trump and Secretary Hegseth have made it clear that presidentially designated narco-terrorist groups are subject to lethal targeting in accordance with the laws of war. With respect to the strikes in question on September 2nd, Secretary Hegseth authorized Admiral Bradley to conduct these kinetic strikes. Admiral Bradley worked well within his authority and the law, directing the engagement to ensure the boat was destroyed and the threat to the United States of America was eliminated. And I would just add one more point to remind the American public why these lethal strikes are taking place. Because this administration has designated these narco-terrorists as foreign terrorist organizations. The president has a right to take them out if they are threatening the United States of America and if they are bringing illegal narcotics that are killing our citizens at a record rate, which is what they are doing.
You said that the follow-up strike was lawful. What law is it that allows no survivors?
The strike conducted on September 2nd was conducted in self-defense to protect Americans in vital United States interests. The strike was conducted in international waters and in accordance with the law of armed conflict.
Did Admiral Bradley order that second strike because there were still survivors after the initial strike?
Again, as I read for you, Admiral Bradley worked well within his authority and the law. He directed the engagement to ensure the boat was destroyed and the threat of narco-terrorists to the United States was completely eliminated.
So was the initial order from Secretary Hegseth, everyone be killed, and did that come from President Trump?
I saw that quoted in a Washington Post story. I would reject that the Secretary of War ever said that. However, the president has made it quite clear that if narco-terrorists, again, are trafficking illegal drugs towards the United States, he has the authority to kill them. And that's what this administration is doing. Danny.
To clarify, Admiral Bradley was the one who gave that order for a second strike.
And he was well within his authority to do so.
President Trump is going to be hosting a meeting of his national security team in the Oval Office today on Venezuela. And what are they going to discuss? Are they hoping to reach a kind of final decision on that?
Out of the effort of transparency, I will confirm that the President will be meeting with his national security team on this subject and on many matters. He meets with his national security team quite often. He's the Commander-in-Chief. It's part of his responsibility to ensure that peace is ongoing throughout the world. I'm definitely not going to detail the specifics of a meeting between the President and his national security team that's taking place in the Oval Office, but I'm happy to confirm that meeting is taking place for you.
What's the position on whether US troops on the ground is a possibility there? Is that, I know you've answered that before, but what's the current operative
In
status?
Venezuela? I think my previous answer stands. There's many options at the President's disposal that are on the table, and I'll let him speak on those. Ed. Andrew, I would reiterate to you the strike was conducted in international waters and in accordance with the law of armed conflict. And since somebody asked about Congress, and it's sort of related to Venezuela, I also want to add that Secretary Hegseth spoke with members of Congress who may have expressed some concerns over the weekend. And there have also been 13 bipartisan briefings to Congress on the Venezuelan strikes. There have been a number of document reviews for members of Congress to review the classified DOJ Office of Legal Counsel opinion and other related documents. 29 senators and 92 representatives have reviewed those documents, which is about 2/3 of those are Democrat members, and they have been made available to all 100 senators, all 435 members of the House, and to general counsels of the relevant committees on a bipartisan basis for their review.
What imminent threat would two survivors pose who were clinging presumably to the wreckage of that boat?
Again, as I said, I think you guys are sort of not listening fully to the statement I've provided. Admiral Bradley worked well within his authority and the law, directing the engagement to ensure the boat was totally destroyed and the threat to the narco-terrorists, to the United States, was eliminated. And for any further questions about his thinking, I would defer you to the Department of War. I obviously wasn't in the room for these.
Just to follow up, Karoline, just on the administration's policy when it comes to survivors, was there a change in policy after this strike on September 2nd? The Washington Post is reporting that these two survivors were killed after a second strike, but then in October, two people were rescued and returned to Colombia and Ecuador. So was there a decision that was made to handle survivors differently after these strikes?
Not to my knowledge, no. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline.